My name is Arabelle Alva Rosales, and it's quite an honor to be here today as your moderator for the role of technology and philanthropy to advance education for Hispanics. I am a CEO and president of my own company, AAR Tech. Yes, a Latina in tech. Yes. And part of the reason I'm also here is I'm founder of a non-for-profit that's called Pivoting in Heels, where we are focusing on developing internships for Latinas and other women of color, especially to get into tech. I've already started working a lot with those technology firms. But I am so excited because we have such an incredible panel that is here today. I have the honor to be able to introduce them to you. And I want to tell you, we are here, up here on this panel, very representative of our Latino community. The first individual that I will introduce to you is Venezolano. Bienvenido, bienvenido. His name is Álvaro Celis, and he's board member of High Tech, Vice President of Worldwide Device and Consumer Channel Sales for Microsoft's Consumer Channel, and works all over the world. All three of them actually have worked all over the world and are really developing this country. So I'm going to be short in the way I introduce them because they have so much to share, and I know all of you want to hear about it. The next individual is Ray Martinez. He's co-founder and president of Everfi, and his father is Puerto Rican, Puertorriqueño. He leads the company's financial education and conduct and culture business units. Everfi's financial education offerings power financial capability programs for hundreds of financial institutions. Welcome.
Thank you.
Very good to have you here. And the third individual is Josue Estrada. He's Chief COO of Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, y es mexicano. Bienvenido. Yes. Eso. That is where he manages central operations for the organization while serving as chief strategic advisor to CEO and CEOs of many leadership teams. So welcome to the three of you. Again, it's exciting to hear from you. And let's start. Why don't we start? I'm going to ask each of you to give us a quick, short synopsis of the work that you're currently doing to advance what we are talking about, Hispanics and technology. Álvaro, empezamos contigo.
Thank you. Hola, buenas tardes. Good afternoon. So, look, in my case, the work is two different fronts. For the last 3 years, I had the honor to be the executive sponsor for the OLA ERG at Microsoft, which is now more than 3,000 people inside the company, and the whole focus of the team is how do we foster the development and the attraction of Latinx talent and Hispanic Latinx talent in the company at all the levels. Also, for the last 3 years, working with High Tech on promoting the broader set of Hispanic talent in technology in general, and those have been the two things that I've been more devoted over the last 3-4 years.
That's a lot of work, and we're going to get a little bit more into that. Ray, can you talk a little bit about what you've been doing?
Sure. I guess I'm part of the 1%, the company that I founded, Everfi, 13 years ago. We've raised about $200 million in private equity and venture capital funding. Our mission at Everfi is we work with over 30,000 public schools across the United States and Puerto Rico. And what we're focused on is the missing learning layer in education or our public school system today. You know, our teachers are under enormous amount of pressure, pre-COVID, post-COVID, and we're focused on topics like financial capability, social emotional learning, mental health education, and cultural literacy. All of our programs are provided to public schools at no cost, fully funded by philanthropy and by the private sector.
Very good. Thank you. Josue.
Yeah, so it's my turn. Part of what we're doing in the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative is, as Ray was saying, teachers do have a lot of pressure right now. And we all know, and pretty much every one of you will have that teacher that you all can recall and was a person that influenced you highly. So what we're trying to do is to provide the tools that teachers need to provide that to the next generation. And as we know, the kids of color are the ones that have been more impacted or the most impacted here in this country on different things. We talk about invisibility and how we can foster a better way for them to learn. And when they are in a safe space, when they are they are themselves, and they are in a place where they can, be the fullest, is when they thrive. And what we're trying to do is to provide that technology that is going to be available for teachers to support that development.
I completely agree with Josue and his feelings there. We've asked our teachers to wear so many hats during this pandemic. Not only are they teaching the topics that their students need to meet by state requirements, but they're also the mask police. They're really focused on their students' mental well-being. And I believe technology, if done the right way, can really amplify and support what teachers do in the classroom. How do we provide students with the skills that they need so they're work ready, they're ready to be great citizens, they're ready for their civic involvement, and they're ready for college? And I think technology can be the great equalizer.
So would you say, Josue, I'll take that back to you, that working with parents is one of the key things in creating long-term, individuals at an early age that want to get involved into technology?
Yeah, absolutely. What we have done is with all our partners, and there's Gradient Learning, that they have developed the learning platform that we actually support and develop. There's a lot of data about that, about how you cannot do it by yourself, so you have to partner. And it's also within the household that sometimes we are coming from poor communities, and many of them do not have that, even the struggle with everyday means. So in order to provide that, what we're also looking at is the whole you, the whole children, and the whole child. And that is a concept that we are still investing a lot, also with many of our partners, to provide that sense of security and belong. Because when you're secure and you don't have to think about where is going to be your next meal, or if you're going to be sleeping that night probably at the car, or etc., then children can actually develop further. So it has to be a combination of factors.
Ray, can you just touch really quickly on parents? Because you and I talked about that there's a lot of focus on the teachers, but also on the parents, and then also how in the long run that will influence other Latinos to get involved in tech.
Yeah, one of the great pleasures and honors that I've had is being able to travel every nook and cranny of this country over the last 13 years. And we work with about 5 million students every year. 43% of those students are low to moderate income. 48% of those students identify as BIPOC. And I think what COVID has done, and what this virtual environment has done, it's really flipped the classroom on its head. And I think school districts now realize that they have a few customers. Not only is it the teacher and the student, but it's the family and it's the parent. And we're seeing a lot of large school districts. I know there are people from Miami here. Miami-Dade Public Schools is doing an amazing job right now at investing and connecting with parents to follow their child's entire academic journey from the time they enroll in kindergarten to the time that they graduate. Miami-Dade is doing a really unique program where if you're a kindergarten student in Miami, you're automatically enrolled in a savings account. And so earlier, Dr. Valenzuela was talking about financial inclusion. Well, that's how you do it. You start earlier and you build trust through education.
Alvaro, I want to talk about something dear to my heart, because I have to hire, and creating that pipeline. Talk to me a little bit about how you see us creating the pipeline in technology.
Yeah, look, I will say I think our biggest opportunity is at the same time our biggest challenge and risk, which is when you look at how the economy and the world is changing through technology, and how technology becomes the backbone of transformation on the economic structure. Every company will be a digital company over the next few years, and COVID just accelerated that pace and won't stop. And then you look at the demographics that we have, that we talk all day, the youth and the power. If we combine those two things, we can really change the destiny and change the outcome for this country and for our community at the same time, and it's going to be a win-win equation. But it's about taking a journey that goes from early exposure to role models. We need to break limiting beliefs.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Kids, parents, families need to know that it's possible to be successful.
Yes.
It doesn't matter where you're coming from. Then we need to keep working on education, like my colleagues had mentioned, being sure that we open up careers like STEM careers, where we have only 3% representation as a community, which is shameful for us as an industry, and a huge opportunity for us to then have internship programs, mentorship programs to expose our students to that experience and eventually come into employment. But you need to start at early age. If by age 11 we don't have enough exposure of our students to these type of subjects, they will become too hard to forage and they will just drop out. And all the data supports that. That's our biggest opportunity.
We've got to start early, age 11. By age 11, we've got to, because I think a lot of what we hear with Latinos is that they don't feel comfortable in technology. And so how do we create that comfort
Well,
level,
but
right?
it's interesting because we are one of the biggest consumers and users of technology in the country. Actually, our community has the highest usage of devices and subscription services in any other demographic in this country.
Right.
So we're very familiar with them.
That's right.
We just need to believe that we're not only the consumer, we're also the makers. We are the people that are going to make those happen.
I love that. Ray,
Can I just touch on the, can I touch on the student piece for a second, though? You know, students love to learn and socialize using technology. They look at tech moguls, they look at how content is created. They're really interested in that. But yet they see the world changing around them so quickly, so fast, and the educational system is not keeping up. And so technology can level the playing field if we develop the curriculum and the courses that are focused on the next generation of skills that are going to prepare students for success. One of them, as Claudia mentioned earlier, is how are we teaching Hispanic heritage? How are we teaching cultural literacy, African American history? It can't just be a poster in a pamphlet. It can't be one chapter in a textbook. It has to be sharing our collective experiences to really resonate with the leaders of the future.
And we have the demographic potential to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
We've just got to bank on it, right? I mean, I think that's one of the important things. Josue, you want to make a comment on that?
Yeah, I was going to be adding
question?
to what Ray is saying. You know, it's important about technology, you know, and this is why many of us are working in that space. Just one statistic of what you're saying is teachers, we have a statistic that is 42% of the teachers, Latino teachers, they quit after 4 years because they do get frustrated about the lack of content that is about, you know, Latino. So it's part of us partnership with organizations like yours to actually to create that content that is going to be available for everybody to really become invisible, you know, come visible instead of being invisible.
Yeah, and I think if there's a downside, there's two downsides. One is the content's not relevant for the teachers and students, and number two is that the funding can be inconsistent. And so we see many districts making decisions about technology based off of what funding is available. And I just think we're better than that as a society.
But now I want to ask you, because one of the things that's very important to make this all happen is we need contributions, philanthropic contributions. So how do we do that? How do we motivate people to contribute? Tell me maybe a little bit about what your company has been doing in that area and how do we motivate others to do so?
Look, I think that the impact that you have, I mean, there's the pure philanthropic work that you need to do as a company, social responsibility and all those initiatives, and every company has a different mandate and a different philosophy. I think that what we need to do is open up the options to be sure that you can include a common agenda, and that's one of the things that I admire on the work Claudia is doing, to build an agenda where you know that you're not just doing one effort, you're really creating an accumulation, a scale through aligning forces that will include not only the philanthropic work, but the work that employees as volunteers and at different levels you can contribute. Because it's not only about the money, it's also about the brains, it's about the hands, and it's about the will, the time. When you look at one of the biggest opportunities that we have actually is mentoring and sponsorship of kids. If every one of the people watching this video, that is, so this stream and here, will go and help us scale mentorship by donating time to those students, we will make a huge difference, and not in a generation or two. I'm talking about for next year or the year after.
So it's money and time.
And how do you funnel the heart and the intent?
Ray?
I would just add three things really quick to that, and I agree with everything that you said. I think number one, we have to celebrate the successes because they're out there, whether it's from philanthropy or whether it's what you see corporate America doing under CSR. So that's number one. I think number two, we need to research the impact that these investments are having over a long period of time. And then number three, continue to strengthen the S in ESG. Let's continue to think about the S in ESG and what companies are reporting on as it relates to their investment in the community.
And data is really important.
Absolutely.
And the data that we keep hearing here is really important for us to take.
Yeah. And what I will add to both of what Ray and Albert was saying is there has to be a place where it's not only about philanthropy coming. Because I've spent the last 8 years of my life in philanthropy. and it's great, don't get me wrong, but we cannot do it alone. And it's only when corporations are actually going to be helping and chiming in that we can make a difference. So what I would probably say is that I urge you to also join philanthropy organizations in terms of uniting and provide the funds that are needed, because there's so many potential out there. And it's just a matter of channel it properly, put it into place and give it away. We have been giving, since the inception of the Chance Soccer Initiative, $850 million in 6 years to education organizations and other nonprofit organizations that are advancing this part of technology. But it's not only there. It has to go also with the great equalizer that I believe, which is technology. So if we unite and we have a common topic, which is how do we make a difference, things will start changing.
So I'll start with you, Alvaro, because we're going to be wrapping up soon. So you know what? If you can't see it, you can't be it, right? So I want you to help them see the vision that you have for the future and how they can get into it. You've got about a minute to do that. It's a lot.
Look, I envision a future where we really can take our community and help them embrace the transformational changes and being actors on the next economy to come, right? We cannot miss this transformation. We missed the previous one. We ended up in the wrong end of the question in most of the jobs. We cannot allow for that to happen in the future. For that, the investment that we talk about, role models, education, internships, mentorship, sponsorship, and employment need to come together. And we need to be actors not only at the corporate level, but at the personal level, supporting and making the change one by one.
Meaning every one individual
Each and every
that's
one
in
of
here
us.
to
It's
do
a
that.
personal responsibility. We
Right.
gotta take it at the personal level.
Thank you.
Well, I feel so fortunate to be up here on stage, really honored. My full name is Ramon Martinez. I grew up in a really rural town outside of Boston, Massachusetts. We were the only Martinez family in town, and I played a lot of sports. And in Boston, or actually outside of Worcester, my last name wasn't Martinez, it was Martinez. And so my dad is from Puerto Rico, my mom is French-Canadian. I'm the first person in my family to graduate from college. And that wouldn't have been possible without incredible parents. And I'll never forget getting into all these private colleges, and my dad and I filling out the FAFSA form. And that's the only reason why I went to Bowdoin College and graduated from Bowdoin College. And I felt so fortunate. And so you ask about the role of technology in the future. It shouldn't matter where you live, what zip code you come from. Every student in this country can have a quality education on the skills that are relevant to prepare them for the jobs of the future. Like, we can do that. We can do that. Absolutely.
Hear, hear.
I 100% agree on that vision. Sorry, Arvo.
No. Go ahead.
Yeah, so
I love this group.
For me, it's just about you need to visualize where you want to be, and it's only a matter of thinking that it's possible. That your brain is going to be like, all right, let's do it. What I tell my kids is basically the following: it's a matter of youth to make change. If you see history, it's always the youth that is pushing for change. But they also need to have some mentors and catalysts. We talked about that yesterday. And those catalysts typically are people that have been successful in their lives, not necessarily monetarily, but they have to be successful. And those individuals are in this room. And I think that is a possibility right now to start rallying behind it, because many people, the young guys in this country, will rally behind. But they need that. They need mentors. They need role models. They need all of us to change. And that's a matter of just make it real, because you can visualize that.
Yeah.
I think Josue should run for office, too. I think Jose, he's got my vote.
I think I'm partnering with Mark.
I think all three of you should run for office. What do you think? I think it's a great team. Yeah. Well, I really want to thank all of you. I think the challenge is to all of you that's out there in the audience. I mean, we talked about mentorship. We talked about philanthropy. We talked about getting involved. I want to see more Latinas involved in technology.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I've made my commitment to that. And I'd love for all you gentlemen to support that as well. Bueno, gracias a todos. Thank you so much. Great job. Give them a big round of applause, please.
Thank you, guys.